You might be thinking that the processes that I've described to you, namely the rectangle framework method and the mind mapping method, were complex and impractical. However, the sad news is that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and the process of actually managing your thoughts is even more complex. From this point onwards, I'm gonna talk to you at a next level, that is in the professional overthinking level. So some of you might be turned off by the sheer hugeness of the concept, but if you're serious about managing your overthinking, then you will give this section a good read. As they say, nothing that is good comes without hard work and a bit of sacrifice of well-being in the mind. So let me stretch your mind still further. For those of you who are watching the video book, you can look at the diagram on your left, and those of you who are reading the book, you can look at the diagram above. What I'm trying to tell you here is that the next level of overthinking is what I call structured mind mapping. So, yes, level three overthinking is the combination of the earlier two models that we discussed. Look at the diagram in the left hand side. We'll recall it as the mind map diagram. In it, I focused on a particular thought. It could have been any one, but here it is thought 2.1. I made it into a rectangle to imply that I'm applying the rectangular framework method for that particular thought, as you can see here. Now, needless to say, you have to extrapolate that the same process of using rectangular method for thought number 2.1 must be completed for all the other thoughts if they are causing a sensation of overthinking in you. I know it's a very burdensome and humongous Herculean task, but it's a task that will give you great relief and power in your thinking. However, structured mind mapping doesn't stop there, and we have to go a bit further. Look at the diagrams surrounding the rectangle. Each of them are frameworks for that particular corner of the rectangle. First, I'll describe in general the four frameworks, and later on, I'll provide the example as I did before. So let's start with the corner of the best case scenario. On top of it, you'll see a diagram that consists of a line divided into three. It is a continuum of probability with zero probability on the left hand side and 100% probability on the right hand side and 50% probability in between. In short, what it means is that we are thinking about the probability of the best case scenario happening. Could it be 0%, 50%, or 100%? It's not that tough up to here, right? Now let's move to the second corner, which is the worst case scenario. The diagram associated with it might sound intimidating to you when I describe it, and you already might feel that it's too complex for you as you just look at it, but it's not that tough once you read or listen to my description. It consists of two layers, outcome A and outcome B. These are two possible worst case scenarios. And then these two outcomes are again divided into three segments, as you can see here, the yellow, green, and blue one. Respectively, they are the most likely scenario, and then the other one is the bad but possible scenario, and the third one is the worst but unlikely scenario. In the thinking process, you can treat outcome A and outcome B as independent scenarios, or one that are linked together and caused by one another. So you have to think quite deeply in terms of the worst case scenario, because this is the part of the thinking that creates the most pain and havoc in the person. The idea is to go as far as is possible, as I have told earlier, think the worst of the worst case scenario, and come to live with it. Most of the times, the blue scenario won't happen, but life is uncertain, and as some people say, the worst thing can happen. And still, the worst part is that the worst thing is even worse than what you can imagine. By being able to think about it, look at the demon in its own eyes, your stress and suffering and anxiety is reduced. Lightning can kill a person, but the probability is very low. Yet some people are killed every day with lightning around the world. The idea of this exercise is to make the people realize that there are so many bad things that can happen in the world, far worse than the one that you are currently imagining. So stop thinking and overthinking, worrying about the bad things that can happen. It is most likely that whatever will happen, you cannot even imagine. All you can do is be prepared. So when you realize the impossible and ridiculous task of thinking of the worst case scenario for too long, too much, then this feeling will cool down. So having thought the worst possible case scenario, and having accepted that it's not in your control and there's no point of brooding too much about it, you move on to the next corner, and you land on the action to take. The model on this corner is quite simple and is made up of a triangle, indicating that there are three types of actions that you need to take, which are the immediate action, short term action, and long term actions. On the final fourth corner of the unknown currently, you'll see that there is a circle divided into two. You have to categorize the unknown into two separate unknowns. The first one is that I know I don't know. The second one is that I don't know I don't know. The first one is quite simple. We know what you do not know. At least that is what you think. However, most of the time we are unaware of what we do not know. Sometimes this lack of awareness of our ignorance is innocent, and it is happening because we have no idea at all of what we are supposed to think about, investigate, and find out, or in truth, know. At other times, it is a malicious intent that we are actually hiding our ignorance so much that we make a fool of ourselves. While the first type of ignorance or lack of awareness about the ignorance is forgivable, the second one is hard to forgive oneself. In a legal parlance, that will be categorized as negligence. Yet, many people will not enter into a legal dispute. Still, this is important to understand that there are many things that you do not know that you are not aware of. So now that you have understood the framework for the structured mind mapping, I will again have to give you an example for you to understand properly this whole idea. So, this example will be one like I have made a mistake. So, what? Many people will overthink this thought to such an extent that they can fall sick. Some people get depressed over a mistake that they did. Many people do foolish things to cover up their mistakes. The common thing in all those behaviors towards a thought of a mistake committed is that the person overthinks it to the extent that the punishment is worse than the level of the crime. You can say that many people will be punishing themselves more with their overthinking than the actual retribution due to that mistake. It is a sad state of affairs, but this is how things are in many people's heads. Of course, mind you, I'm not talking about everybody, as you will agree. Most people do not think twice about their mistakes, let alone punish themselves with overthinking. So maybe it is the good souls among us who decide to punish themselves with overthinking. But again, here I'm talking about one particular example of having made a mistake and the thought that lingers in our minds because of that mistake. Now that I have set the premise of this particular thought and its implication and its scope, as well as limitations, let's actually start using the two models that I've described earlier. Let's see if this new structured mind mapping will help us. Now let's start with the first corner of the rectangle. I will not be specific on any particular mistake, and I will just assume that it's not something criminal, and it's a minor mistake. Now, the best case scenario would be that nobody finds out. What you have to think is what is the probability of this best case scenario occurring. In many cases where we make mistakes, the mistake, if it's not going to hamper other people in a negative way, the probability that people will find out is almost zero. On the other hand, if there is a severe negative impact on somebody because of that mistake, then the probability that it will be found out is almost 100%. So if the mistake that you did has a very negligible impact on anybody, you can safely think that the chances of anybody finding out is very low, almost zero, and thus the best case scenario that nobody finds out is 100%, so rest assured. Next, let's go to the worst case scenario. The mistake that you made is exposed. The outcome number A would be that you will lose your reputation. That would lead to more negative outcomes, like maybe a loss of your job. Again, I'm talking about the very worst case scenarios. Then we have to take into consideration the impact of this mistake on other people and the organization that it is being considered in. As I mentioned earlier, if the impact is not so negative to anybody, then the outcomes to be so highly negative will be most unlikely, as is shown by the blue color. However, if the mistake that you did has a severe negative impact on more people, then the impact for you to be judged or even found out could be highly likely. That's how things are, and there's no escape in accepting the reality. By thinking about the worst case scenarios in such a detached, logical, and impersonal way helps you to think more calmly and overthink your overthinking mind. The mind usually is afraid to think that far and will just limit itself to the possibility of being caught, but will not consider the outcomes A and B. Certainly, it will never think about the other component that I just mentioned, the negativity and the number of people affected by that mistake. So, by stretching the mind beyond its limit, the overthinking mind is tired and will find rest and calm and peace by the end of this corner. At first, you might be thinking that it's going to make matters worse if we think to such extent. But the truth is that we are making it worse by not going to the full extent. This is where we differentiate the professional thinkers from the rookie thinkers. Believe me, I'm a professional thinker, and my advice is really sound. Think of the worst and the outcomes for each of the scenarios and the possible likelihood based on the negative impact of that mistake. It's gonna really make you peaceful and cool down your thoughts, putting them a final break. So now that you have completed the above corner, move to the third corner, which is the action to take. As we have investigated, the best case scenario is that nobody finds out, and the worst case scenario is that we are exposed, caught, and investigated. So, what are the actions that we can take right now to remedy the possible worst possible scenarios. We have to think that there will be three types of actions. On the immediate scale, you could be thinking of talking to somebody about this mistake. If possible, you can still rectify it, then just do it. If it's not possible, then you will have to cover your tracks maybe. However, by trying to hide your mistake, you can make it worse. So the immediate action will be to try to inform somebody who can help you undo that mistake if you cannot fix it by yourself rather than covering up. Now, the short term action that you might be taking is that you will investigate what caused that mistake and create your own defense on why you made that mistake. In the case that you are caught and you are put into an investigation, your mind must work very fast to find your defense, and in your own mind, you must also be the prosecution. So, in the court of your mind, practice defending your case. Do not waste your valuable mental time in trying to blame somebody or yourself. Remember, if a mistake is made at any level, then you will be involved because it was you who was responsible for that mistake. Passing the blame on others won't help much in case there's an investigation. So, on the short term level, you prepare your mind to get ready for a fight in case it occurs. Now, in the long term action, you will have to think about the bigger picture and how you could have made this mistake. Be your own investigator and find out the chain of events that led to that particular mistake so that you will not have to repeat it again. Think like a scientist. Once you have found out how this mistake occurred, make the provisions to prevent yourself from committing those mistakes. Also, for the long term, you should try to involve people who will be able to defend you in case there is an investigation, which is the worst case scenario. Finally, just make sure that you do not tell about this mistake to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. In this way, you have finished the actions to take thinking. So your mind was not even thinking that you would go this far in the thinking process, did it? However, this is the beauty of this structured mind mapping. Your mind was hungry and it thought that it would never find food, but then you brought the all you can eat buffet to it, satiating it beyond its capacity. The process is still not complete, and now we come to the fourth corner, which is the unknown currently. You must be very frank with yourself and do not lie to yourself at this corner. There are so many things that you do not know. Just accept it. Nobody's going to judge you. But if you deny to your own self that you do not know, then many bad things will occur because you'll have to hide one lie with another lie, and then that one with another lie, and it will be a castle of cards that will be blown away with just a gusto of wind. So when you reach this corner, just make a list of A, the things that you know that you do not know. For example, it could be that you know that you do not know the impact of your mistake. You know that you are not sure whether it's gonna destroy the organization and bring it to its knees, or it is just going to create some minor financial loss. Then make a list of things that you don't know. Now, if I mentioned anything in this category, then that would fall in the above category. So at this point, you have to accept that this list must always be zero. I've put this category here just to make people humble that there are thousands of things that we do not know, yet those things will affect us one way or the other, today or tomorrow, in this way or in that way, whether we like it or we don't like it. So finally, we have completed the structured mind mapping method for the thought that we harbored at the beginning in this example of oops, I made a mistake. I hope that this illustration made it very clear what this method is about, and you have been able to be educated in how actually we have to think. People think that they know how to think, and as a result of such thinking, they suffer so much because the thought destroys them. I wish that you will learn the art of thinking from this book and that you will share it to others. The difficult part about teaching anybody to think is that they think that they know how to think, and they will not easily let go of their guards and open up to accept my teachings. But now that you have this book in your hands or on your mobile device or on your laptop, you don't have to ask me, and you can learn directly as if I was with you. So, my last message in this section is that you should be humble, that you do not know how to think, and that is why you are suffering from the problem you call overthinking. That weakness, disease, sickness, situation, state, whatever you think it is, can be solved through the remedies that I have prescribed to you so far. We will be talking more about more remedies in the next sections. So I hope that you have been motivated enough to continue reading or watching this book. Mind you, the above example is just one example, and I will be covering more examples through the case studies at the end of this book. I did not give more example here because I did not want to use more space and time in this section, as I would want you to have a more holistic picture by reading the sections below. In this way, the case studies will be more holistic and it will be helping you much better than if I elongated this section.